Good afternoon, Bernd. My name is Claudio. I'm calling you from Washington, D.C., from the studios in Fairfax City. We're very humble and grateful that Bernd Kistenmacher accepted our invitation to our show. Bernd, welcome to the show, man.
Hello, Claudio. Thank you for the invitation and many greetings from Berlin.
Okay, same here. So let's start now with the pandemic. This has been going on for a year and a half now, and how the COVID has affected your life, your sanity, your inability to tour much, and how you holding up, man?
Yes, I will try to describe this because the pandemic itself infected me not so much as many other people. So I went not sick and so on. And we all were asked to stay at home and to not to communicate too much with other people. So we were not in the crowds. The shops were closed and so on. We had a lockdown, of course. The time was very hard for many people, but for me, I mainly work at home. So I would describe myself as a home officer, yes. And this is what I permanently do. So I missed not so much, I must say, yes. And I took the time and I understood the whole process as a chance to evolve my own skills and to do something new. For my example, I did a lot of concerts, or I did a lot of records until, let's say, 2017. And then I had, my mother died, and I came into a period where I started to think about my life, about what I expect from the rest of my life, what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do in the future. And so I decided not longer to follow this path and to try out something new. And the first, what I started was to write a book, which is now finished but not published. It's a book about my own story and the story of Berlin School of Electronic Music. The guys you mentioned, I talked with them too, yes, and yeah. I did many interviews with them, and it's a very interesting story because I understood and realized that my existence cannot be described without telling the stories which happened before. Yes, before my career, and this is the more important part because there are so many. Yes, I say silent heroes which did their little things which came together in the 60s and in the early 70s that created later the Berlin School of Electronic Music. It's not only the artists, this is many people around there in the background which never became famous or known, yes. And the Electronic Beat Studio is also a part of this story, yes. And so this is the one thing I did. And the second thing is for my whole life, when I started 1981 with making electronic music, with producing and learning, understanding synthesizers, I permanently tested for shows or for magazines synthesizer. So I presented them and I tested them, and I write articles and about new equipment and whatever is happening around us. So I have over all these years or decades, I must say, I have a writing experience, I would say, yes. And I wanted to lift this whole thing up on another level, and I started after the unveiling of the plague for the Electronic Beat Studio in last December, I started my own YouTube channel and brought my skills together: writing, testing synthesizers, making music, and the whole thing. I call it "Freak Out Your Synth," and you find it in my YouTube channel. And yes, it's a combination of everything, and I bring a lot of personality in all this. And yes, I hope the people like it. So this is mainly what I do today. And to do this, I had to learn a lot of things, and I took the time. I took this chance during the pandemic to learn, to understand how the things work, and I bought a lot of filming stuff, and and my studio is more a film studio than a music studio today. But yes, I'm still making music, of course, but yes, I do it in another way.
Gotcha. Maybe one day I will have the chance to visit the studio and take some pictures together there.
Yeah, you are welcome. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Is the book, when it's done, is going to be only released in German or in English as well?
Actually, it's written in German, but I would also like to translate it, and I think it's more interesting for international audience, yeah, and readers. But yes, the first step is to find a publisher which wants to publish this book, because this is really a problem of the pandemic. The publishers were down also, as everybody was, and now the process, the business is starting again slowly. Yeah. And yeah, I'm very optimistic that I will find one, but it took a little bit more time than I expected. Yes.
Gotcha, right. Were you born like in a musical family? How old were you when you began taking piano lessons? And I understand that my understanding is that your father had a deep influence on you as well.
Yeah, my father influenced me. He was also a talented piano player, but he didn't follow this path because it was maybe also a problem of permanent training. I don't know, but yes, later he took the responsibility for his family and stopped with playing music, but he tried to teach me playing piano, and we did it a decent time, but we both had no fun by doing it. He was no good teacher to me, and I was no good, I was not good in understanding what he wanted and training and so on. But the love for keys stayed, yes, and later I began with the age of 10 to become a fan of psychedelic and electronic music. Later, electronic music came later. First, it was psychedelic rock, that kind of experimental music stuff, which was never heard before. And I was, 10, 11 years old when I came in contact with music from Kraftwerk and from Pink Floyd and so on. And yes, that influenced me my whole life and my childhood. And later I discovered what in the same time had happened in Berlin with Tangerine Dream, with Klaus Schulze, with Michael Hönig. And when I listened to their music, I was totally captured by this. And this was my thing, and it was my music. And I became a big Klaus Schulze fan. The Klaus Schulze was my man because he did things all others didn't do, and yes, his music opened my heart. However, I wanted to do the same, and also when these guys decided to go another musical path, I wanted to stay on this Berlin school thing. And when I was 20 years old, 21 years old, I bought my first synthesizer, and I started to learn and to play and to record. And yes, it's the beginning of my career. And yeah.
You still have the synthesizer or no? No, it's gone.
Yes, again, my first synthesizer was one from Korg. It's called Monopoly. Yeah, and it was affordable for me because I ever wanted to have a mini Moog, but I couldn't pay. I didn't have the money for. But this guy had some more possibilities, and it was yes, affordable. And so I got the Monopoly, and I still have one. Yes.
Okay, that's great. You remember the first vinyl that you bought on your own? What kind of music were you? I mean, beside you know, the Klaus Schulze and Tangerine Dream and Edgar Froese and all those people. And what the first vinyl? Remember that you bought on your own? You remember vinyl records?
My first
One
vinyl
of the
was,
first ones, yeah.
I really, my very first single was, I guess it was from Susi Quattro or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, and it was a time of glam rock and so on. So I of course I liked this. And no, but my first serious LP was really Kraftwerk One.
Yeah,
Was,
yeah.
it was I had listened to Ruckzuck, and this was yes, really freaking out. This thing it still is, and one of the best from Kraftwerk, I still think. And yes, that was my music, and it was my first LP. I had to give my whole money and to save it for weeks and months. And I still remember I went with my mother into a record shop in Berlin, and I bought this LP, and this was, oh, so it was, and I played it down and down and down, and I don't know how many hundred times I played this track. Yes.
Were your parents? So at the time you were like 20, 21, you needed to go make a decision and say, well, either it is after the equivalent of high school, the gymnasium in Germany, either go to university or pick a career in music. Were your parents supportive, or was it a difficult decision for you to make when you were 20 years old? Because you have
was, yeah,
you've been listening music for a while already, right? And you say, man, I like Klaus Schulze, I like Michael Horning, I like Tangerine Dream guys. And how you make decision about becoming a musician or going to get a job or go to university?
I must say I was not very honest to myself by following this path directly. After school, I learned a job. Yes, I was. I am a carpenter. Yes, it's unbelievable, but yeah, that was my job. And before I wanted to go to the university, I wanted to have a basis. Yes, and then I went to the university and started to study, but yes, I can be honest in this point. I was not good enough in arithmetics. Yes, and it was too much for me. But in parallel, I developed my career as electronic musician. Yes, and this became more and more important. And at the end of the 80s, yes, early beginnings of the 90s, I founded a little family, and this meant a lot of responsibility. Yes, and I had to earn money again, and everything was always in parallel. Yes, it was no career as a musician, so a professional career, you can say. But I understood many years later that this was not the solution for my life. And in 2009, very late, I decided to stop with my job and to stop with everything and be musician only. And since then, I would describe myself as a professional, because I have to earn my money for a living from music, which is difficult enough.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Last night I was listening to the album from 1987. I think it's called "Wake Up in the Sun." That in many people consider that one of your classic albums, and you know, feel free to elaborate on that album. I don't know if that's the first one or one of the first one, right? It was the first one you've done, or no? "Wake Up in the Sun," or no?
I started in 1984 with a production of music cassettes. So this my first album was Romantic Times, and it was released on music cassette. And the second album was Music from Outer Space, and it was also released on music cassette. But then I felt this was not professional enough for me, and it was time to produce a real recording album. Yes, and I started with Head Visions. That is, you can say, this is my really first release as a professional musician.
Yeah.
And this was a full-length album. Head Visions was very successful because it was my, yes, you can say, my love declaration to the music of Klaus Schulze. So this was my, I wanted to tell his stories a little bit longer in my interpretation. So this is Head Visions about. And the second album after this was 1987, Wake Up in the Sun. And this is interesting because at this time I decided to found my own label.
Yep.
That was Musique Intemporelle called. Now it's later it became the name MI Records. It still has this name. And with Musique Intemporelle, I wanted to produce my own music and also the music from other artists. And yes, it was also the step 1987, 88, where compact discs entered the market. That was brand new in those days. And so Wake Up in the Sun became the first release on CD on a, yes, non-commercial or non-profit label, you can say.
Yeah.
It was a self-production and amazing, expensive, unbelievable. Yes, but yes, it was the way. It was the future in those days.
Did you end up selling a lot of them CDs, and then there was issue on vinyl as well, right? Or not?
There was first the issue on vinyl, and in parallel then on compact
CD.
disc. Yeah.
Were you selling enough record to make a little bit of money to recover that investment?
You never sell enough, I would say. But I mean, but I mean, yes. It is a niche market. It's not the big thing, never. But in those days, there were a lot of fans. That was a fortunate situation that also this music, our music, was played in public radio. So this is something that doesn't happen today. Yes, today you can listen to techno or whatever, but in those days you could listen to Berlin School or to Kraftwerk, the Düsseldorf scene and whatever. And so there was a big chance to become listened by people which normally don't listen to this music, and this was a good influence on the sales. Yes,
that's of course. If having a radio playing your music, that's unbelievable. And I read also that you collaborated with Harold Kroffoff in that album as well, right? Which I had the opportunity to interview him as well. He's a very nice person too. So. Harold,
yes, yeah. we played together. Yes, I invited him for doing 2 concerts in Cologne and 1 in Berlin in those days. It was in the 90s, early 90s. And then we produced a solo album, yes, cooperation. It was a 50-50 album called Characters, which describes the situation very good, I think. And yes, from the concerts, we had some live releases, but then, yes, that was our cooperation. It was a good time we had.
Good, that's great. Feel free to elaborate in, I think in 2001, right, you needed to make a difficult decision, and because the sales on MI record were not doing that well, and you need to, put everything concerning music aside for a while, and it was a difficult decision for you to make. And
2001 was a terrible time because yes, and some years before the whole thing started, first with internet. Yes, it was the first movements in the net. And possibilities for artists to self-market, so they no longer needed a record label to release their music. That was the one thing. The other thing was that it became very common to produce so-called CDRs. So you could print your own CDs with your own music or whatever music without moving so much money. And that was really killer for my label and for my activities, because my label was more a classic one with a record contract and with the wish to yeah, how can I say it? To work for a longer time with a special artist, yes, to produce more records. And that was the time had come that this process, this way didn't work no longer. For yes, it was over. And I had really financial problems. That was financially a disaster. And I also was invited to participate on a festival in Italy where several hundred people were announced to come, and finally I worked for weeks and months for this show, and I did my best and had a lot of costs to go there, and then I don't know, 15 people were, yeah, so it was a total disaster. And yes, it was the moment when I said, this whole thing makes no longer sense to me, yes. And I stopped everything. I sold my synthesizers, and I went into an office job, and I thought, yes, it would be okay for the rest of my life. But what I said before is what happened. I was not honest to myself in this point, and a couple years later, my feelings and my wishes returned, and I see myself looking out of the window, and I saw the life of other people going by, and my life was terrible, boring, and this is not just what I wanted for my life. And then I stopped with it, and as I said, 2009 I returned to making music and producing records and making
that's
concerts.
it. Yeah, that's a beautiful story. That's MI Record still exists or no? As a label?
Sorry.
The record label still exists? MI Records? Or?
MI Records is still existing, but only for my own music, and you find it on Bandcamp.
Yeah, in Bandcamp, I noticed that you have all the. Do you sell a lot? It's okay.
It's okay. Yes. I know. In the meantime, I've stopped producing CDs because it makes no longer sense. We are in a digital world, and if people want to get some music which is not free, they will obtain downloads and nothing else. So I would not longer invest money into vinyls or CDs. That's, for me, that's over. If somebody else wants, yes, welcome. But for me, it's okay to produce downloads. Yes, and I'm not so a big fan, I can say, from streaming whatever, because we all know what money you can earn from streaming, and this makes also no sense. I mean, it makes no sense to build a studio with tons of synthesizers and equipment, and then you produce your music from heart, yes, and then you sell it for parts of a part, yes, of a cent. I don't know.
Spotify, right? Spotify, you get,
for example, Spotify and
6,000 or 1 cent. I don't
know. No, I don't participate to that. And I must say, Bandcamp is the only platform which is really honest to the artist. Yes, very fair.
I think they only take like 10%, right? And you get the other 90%. So.
And you get it immediately. You have not to wait 6 months or 12 months. You get it if you have sold it. And this is great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, a lot of people that I have interviewed, and every musician complain the same about Spotify. I think you get 0.006 cents or every time that somebody play your music on Spotify, which is very unfair, right? You need to have like 1 million hits to get a check for $100, you know, as opposed to Bandcamp, you can sell your own music and do okay.
10,000 downloads for a pizza, it makes no sense to me.
Of course, no, that a lot of people complain about that. And so let's talk about a little bit of, you know, in 2009, you have like another, a new life. You were reborn again. You know, I think you dismissed the job and then you began rebuilding the studio and put your life back into it. What's your a personal question? What's your, you know, you sold some of the equipment and you needed to buy them back, and was your wife, your kids didn't complain? Then my dad again was going to quit the job and then go back to the music. It was like a slow process.
I must say it was a very egoistic decision, yes, and it was not easy for my family. And yes, I'm still sorry for that, but I had to go this way. There was no, emotionally, there was no other chance for me. And yes, but they have understood what I am moved from what I am moved, and it is okay now, I would say. Yes, but that means also that I have to keep my ass up and to be busy and to be very focused on the things that I do to show them. It's really an important thing to me. It's no hobby or whatever. Yes. So I gave a lot of things up, and I risked a lot of, and yes, it was not easy for all of us. Yes, it was also a terrible time, you can imagine. Yes.
Well, I imagine so, right? And then after that, the 7-year break, you make a new entrance into electronic music with your album. It's called Celestial Movement, which is a very, very good album, actually.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is. It was the time when I started or came together with Bernd from Mellowjet Records. It's a little label in Germany. And he was building up his label at this time, and he was looking for artists, and he also is a believer, yes, and he believes in the things that he does and that are important for him. And we came together, and yes, he gave me the chance, and I'm still very thankful for that. And I produced some records for him and for his label. And yes, later we decided to go our own ways, and then I returned to my own label because it was easier to focus on my own career for 100% and not doing nothing else, but in looking, can you promote this and can you promote that? And he has so many other, this is a problem. It's very good that you talk about this, because this is an experience that I also made when I run the label with other artists. There comes the point where you must decide if you work for yourself or if you work for others. And this becomes very fast a conflict. Yes, I didn't expect it. I thought, yes, running a label with other artists could become a second leg, economically spoken. But no, that was not. There was a point where I should have decided to run the label only or to run the career only. And it didn't work for me. And I saw also, when I worked together with Mellowjet Records, that this didn't work. If I'm an artist who has signed somewhere else, you have expectations, and if they are not fulfilled, you become nervous. Yes, and that was no good feeling. So then we decided to depart from each other, and I got my rights back, and then I started in 2012 to do my own business only.
Again, I think when you is it true that when you end up releasing the album Celestial Movement, you did I think it was a concert in Paris, in France.
Yeah.
Well, correct. Feel free to elaborate on that
Yeah,
experience, because that would have been very important to you, after
yeah,
leaving your
this was
job, putting your life career and going back to electronic music and going playing in
this,
Paris,
yes, this was the return, the beginning of my return, you can say. I had this album and I had the opportunity to participate on a concert in Paris, which was organized with some very good friends from France, and we are still connected today. And yes, they were also electronic fans. Yes,
Yeah.
they run yes, a fan association, Cosmic KGB. I don't know if they are still active. Yes, maybe you find them in the internet. But in those days, they were very active, and they invited me for a concert in Paris. And yes, it was in 2009, and this was my jump back, so you can say.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story, to I think related to that, which album did you do that you end up, I think it was like Observatory that you guys were helping out at the beginning. I think it's called, I don't know, the Halde Howard.
Heile Hoherbart. Yes,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
no. This was not there. There was never a concert. It was just a dream. You can see it. It's a so-called horizontal observatory. It's yes, it's an installation on a mountain in the German Ruhrgebiet, and that was planned as an yes, you could follow the stars and the sun and whatever, the moon, and it was like a giant globe on a mountain. Yes, so two bows,
Yeah.
And it's looking fantastic if you are going over that hill. But the whole installation has is closed since many years because there were technical problems, and there was in the very first beginning an idea to perform on that hill a concert, but that never happened. But I loved the image, and this was the idea for Celestial Movements. Yes, you see it on the cover. It's
I have seen on the cover that the horizon. Yeah, I have the album. The other album that I really like as well, and perhaps one of the ones that maybe you are most famous for is Kaleidoscope.
Okay.
And I really like that album. And for a lot of people, that's a very turning point and a very good album in the world of electronic music. I don't know if for you was the same. It's a very see, it's difficult because for me as a consumer of your music, right? I buy a lot of your music, and according to Claudio, this is the best album. But perhaps according to Bernd, maybe it's not the best album. What's your opinion on
that? This is the idea. Yeah, I must say, I must go back. It was in 1988 when I got the opportunity to play here in Berlin in the planetarium. We have two of them, one in East Berlin, one in West Berlin, and that was the times of West Berlin still, and we had our planetarium not far away from here. And they had a problem because the cupola was burnt down. So, and they had to invest a lot of money for reconstruct the whole thing. And then in 1987, 88, they were ready with the buildings and everything, and there was planned to reopen it, to reopen the house. And I had the idea, together with my friend in those days, Mario Schönwälder, to organize a benefit concert for this house. And at least it became 3 shows in 2 days, and I started to compose music for this event. And this was a 50-minute long track called Ferne Ziele. Yes, and this was the very first version of it, and it was the first time when I combined analog synthesizers with a computer. I had an Atari in those days, Atari 1040 ST, and this was the days when we started to produce music also with MIDI and so on, MIDI connections, and MIDI synthesizer, MIDI control synthesizer came up on the market, and so that was also a time of change technologically seen. And yeah, we played 3 shows for this in the early beginnings, and from this material I started to produce an album. And 1 year later, after I had also become known in the German Democratic Republic, I got the invitation to participate on a huge electronic festival in the city of Dresden, and that was the Electronic Lives event. And yes, it was the biggest thing in my life until then, because the main act from West Germany was Klaus Schulze, and I was the second act, and then 2 known acts from the German Democratic Republic were invited. That was the band Pont, and the other band was Servi called, yes. And so there were 4 bands playing. Main act was Klaus Schulze, and I played this music from Kaleidoscope. This was the album. And the crazy thing is that the whole event happened in August 1989. And that was 4 months before the wall came down. Yes, in November 89, the wall came down and everything changed. And yes, you could feel a little bit rumors there, here and there. Everybody was somehow nervous, but we were playing in front of more than 7,000 people, and it was a huge event, and it was fantastic. And yes, I came with my electronic keyboard castle, and Klaus Schulze came with his stuff, and there were tons of equipment on the stage. And for the audience, some of them who attended there then are still speaking from this event. Yes, that was great.
Well, is that particular concert was ever recorded or released at all?
Yes, the concert was released on one of my albums. I must show. I don't know what. There's a title. I know. Give me a second, please.
Yeah, take your time. Take your time. Yeah, I would need to listen.
Yeah. This is simple. You can find the album on Bandcamp. It's called Dresden 0889, and that was 2 tracks, Musik for 7,000 Dreamers, and yeah, that's the title. Dresden 0889.
Okay, I gotta make sure that I listen to the stuff. Although you have changed gear, I mean, from analog to with new technology and digital keyboard nowadays, are you still using a lot of analog equipment, and is that as a preference of yours?
Yeah, more than ever before. Of course, I produce in the box. I use Cubase from Steinberg.
Yeah, Cubase.
Yes, and there's everything inside. But from hardware, can see here in the back my very, very, very loved synthesizer from GRP, the A4, and on the other side is the ARP 2600. So analog stuff is still the thing, yes.
Yeah, many musicians I have interviewed and people that do compose music for film, they are going back to the analog stuff.
Yeah, that
sound.
makes sense because analog sound synthesis is still the thing since 50, 60 years. And if you are looking for a special kind of sounds which are dance character, very, very, very intense sounding somehow. It's very difficult to describe, but if you are looking for a special kind of sound, you must use analog synthesizers. There's no plugins are very, very interesting, very perfect today, and you can do music or sounds with plugins which are impossible to realize with hardware synthesizers. But as we all do, we combine all worlds. We use a little bit here and a little bit there, and the result is a layer, a mixture of everything, I would say.
Yeah, that's great. Have you ever, I think I read somewhere you, I don't know, you ever compose music for films, or I think I read that you compose music for imaginary film that do not exist. And have you been hired to do a composition for doing a film score? Or?
Unfortunately not, because but this is my biggest wish in my life, I must say.
Yeah.
Because after leaving so much behind, the whole record business, you can say, I always think that my music fits perfectly to music in a film. Yes, to movies, whatever. But you can imagine it is so hard to enter this this scene, and if you have no connections or no request or nobody says, okay, your music is interesting, I would like to use it in my film. So this is so difficult, but I still feel and I still think films would be the best place for my music. Yes.
Yeah, Tangerine Dream, for example.
From sound, I'm still thinking that I make music for the big screen. Yes, so it's very opulent and very, very massive sometimes, and I think that this fits very good for beautiful images.
Absolutely. Tangerine Dream, for example, have done like over, I don't know, 50 or 60 film score, you know, and.
Yes, they had the luck to enter the market when nobody else did electronic music for films. That was something new in those days. Yes, and then they had opened a door for many others.
You need to go. I think you need to convince Hans Zimmer to use your music for someone.
Yeah, we know each other, and yes, it's very difficult to get him, I must say. I have my experience from the Memorial Plague times. Yes, he's so busy, and he has his guys, and I must be honest, I'm sure I'm too old for this heavy pressure business.
Come on.
Yes.
No,
come on.
You're not. You're doing very good. Yeah. Hopefully one day.
Maybe he's listening to our interview and he will say, "Oh, Bernd Kistenmacher, yes, that's an idea."
Yeah, I will have to. Hopefully, one day I will have the opportunity to interview Hans Zimmer because I like his music, and also I would like to interview Bernd Herzog, of course, because I like his music. I began little by little doing some interview about film scores, film composer, and then hopefully we'll have the opportunity to interview directors as well, because in the case of Bernard Herzog, he used to work for people from Popol Vuh, and I don't know if you know, the music is very, very good.
I know. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm interviewing one person. And then when I'm in Germany, I'm going to be interviewing another person, that one of the few left from the original Popol Vuh stuff. So I like all kind of music, man. I for electronic music, from pop, from film score, from jazz, from rock. I have a wide range of stuff that I listen to, and being able to now interview all those famous people like yourself, it's an honor for me. I'm an engineer. I have my day job. I do this for fun, All my radios are free. I have a lot of music. I pay music rights. They're 24 hours a day. No advertising, no social media, music and interviews that forever are going to be free. So one day in 50 years from now, the internet exists. Somebody say, hey, who was Klaus Schulze? Who was Bernd? Who is Manuel Goya? Who was Michael Honey? We listen to the interviews. They're all there. They're always going to be free. So it's an honor for me to talk to you guys, man. Looking back in your career, I mean, there are many moments that are special for you. Any regrets or things you could have done differently? I mean, for example, right? If you have not left in 201 to get a job and then coming back in 209, right? Those were 8 years, right? Or 9 years that you could have done a lot of great stuff. Maybe not, right? Maybe it was reason for you to walk away and then come back with new ideas, new energy, new ways to do things.
No, in this special case, I do not regret my decision. I still feel that it was important and it was a good one. But if I look back, yes, there are some moments also in the beginning of my career where I think I believed and trusted into the wrong persons and to the wrong friends. Yes, that was really I will not go too much into details, but there were some moments, if I could restart them, I would really do other decisions. And the other problem is I was too late self-confident about what I wanted to do. I listened too much on, you should do this and you should do that and go this way and go that way. And yes, I should have been more confident in doing the right thing, because if you follow the path of your heart, you know what you have to do. You really know this, yes. And I allowed myself to often to get disturbed in those decisions. Yeah. But yes, it's everything is life. That is like it is, and I don't know. Next time better.
Yeah, sometime in life, you need to make a left turn, a right turn, left turn, and then that take you somewhere as opposed to going that way, whatever that means.
Yeah.
But that's, maybe
it's a permanent learning process, and maybe it's important that you go the wrong way to understand what the right way is for you. Maybe this is a learning process. Yes.
Yeah. How, in your opinion, how Berlin? Well, of course, Berlin is well known for many political reasons, but for the music point of view, for the Berlin is this Berlin School of Music, and for that many electronic musicians. How in the world, the Edgar Froese, the Klaus Schulze, Peter Baumann, yourself, Edgar Froese, Tangerine Dream, and many. How many in the world, in a city called Berlin, so many great musicians of electronic music where they came. Please describe the music scene in Berlin like 40 years ago and nowadays. What do you think that Berlin is well known to be the school of music?
To be honest, Berlin is today known for lots of different music, but not for Berlin School. I would say Berlin School of Electronic Music found an silent end at the end of 1989 when the wall came down, because the time changed completely. And that was no longer the old mood of very comfortable living in West Berlin, for example, because West Berlin was an island that no longer existed. Yes, and it's interesting to see that really with that moment when the wall came down, the music changed completely, and we all know that was the moment when everything started with techno and with club music and with electronic dance music. And yes, sometimes if you listen to journalists today which are reporting about electronic music from Berlin, they don't know that something happened before 1990. It's really like that. And we all are not, have maybe not that deserved place in music history, which one of them have deserved. Yes, for example, Tangerine Dream or Klaus Schulze. Also, one reason why, because why I am why I initiated this memorial plaque for the Electronic Beat Studio, because it's important now, before everything goes forgotten, to remember in this period of time where such musical development was possible. Yes, that was in the 60s and 70s. That was a special time where many new ideas came together, also new technologies, and where also young musicians were fed up by old structures and wanted to do something completely new, not to replay the boring music from wherever, and to create something new. And that was the basis for that, what we know as Berlin School. Yes, and this is now on. There's a danger to become forgotten. Everything is past. Yes, of course, and it makes also not sense to cry a tear about the good old times. They are over. This is fact. But something important in music history happened there, and this is important to remember in that. And with techno. Yes, also many guys which started with techno are in the age today where they say, "Oh, the good old times of techno." Yes, so everything goes by. Yes, and yes, that's normal in life, I think. But yes, it was a special time where some good things came together. Yes.
Yeah, I will. I have an idea that I will not tell you in the TV, but I will tell you when we meet in Berlin. It's something that I want to do. I have an idea about a way to commemorate, like in a park, in a public park or something. I have the idea here. I need to work it out, but I will tell you there. I wanna do something
I'm
nice.
excited to know.
Oh, you're going to like it. I know exactly what I wanna do and commemorate, because for two reasons, right? One is a selfish reason. For me, electronic music is very important in my life, and you know, all the big names, right? Everybody knows, like Peter Baumann, Klaus Schulze, yourself, Harold, and Mario, and all the big names, but Tangerine Dream. But there are many people that are perhaps early in the beginning didn't make it, you know, and of course Klaus Schulze is one, probably the best. Klaus Schulze and Edgar Froese, you know, who is not with us anymore. Well, no, there are many people that perhaps didn't make it, right? That they were good musicians, you know. Number two, my family, I never told you, but my family came from Munich, actually. And in the 1882, there was a big migration of Italians. About 10,000 families from Italy moved to Argentina, and then about 10,000 families from Germany moved to the south of Chile. I was born in Chile. So in Chile, in the south of Chile, is a big German community. So my mother's last name is Hoferberg. So of course I don't speak the language, and I was born in Chile, and then I came to the United States to study. But if it wasn't for my German ancestor that came from Munich, and that's the reason I'm going to Munich, is a couple of graves that I always visit. If it wasn't for them, our upbringing would have been very different, different. So I'm very grateful to, you know, my family and South Germany, and and from Munich, and then to the Electronic School of Music that has given me a lot of satisfaction.
So this is a very special return to your
of course, you know. And
place.
I go to I've never been in Berlin, but I have been in, you know, in Munich like 3 times, and every time I go and visit the graves and put flower because it's made. So in many ways, I wanna, you know, I wanna contribute a little bit, you know. And I will tell you, more when I'm there. And you have been busy, very busy with your YouTube channel. You like doing that?
Oh, this is a lot of work. Yes, I'm training to perform better in front of a camera. This is not easy. I try to learn better the filming stuff, and I learn to come more quicker to the point. What I will talk about, and yes, now it makes a lot of fun. It's producing these videos is fantastic because for me it became a little bit boring to sit in front of a computer and to edit music and so on, do the same and again, and I wanted to do something new. And yes, I discovered now this YouTube thing for me and for my skills, yes, can say that. And I think, yes, we are living in very in times of visibility. Yes, you know, we want to see everything in a computer. We are sitting in front of our computer, and there are so many things to learn, to discover, and I will try to find my own way. I hope it will be successful. I do this since March this year, and the start is not so bad. I hope it will be much more happen there, but yes, I like the idea of presenting synthesizers in front of camera, talking about technology, but also, and this is the important thing, besides this Freak Out Your Synth idea, I have also installed another, yes, can say playlist that is called One Synth Only. And if I feature a special synth in one episode, I play this synthesizer only, because I'm the man who comes from keyboard castles, using permanently 10 keyboards and so on. But this is also an old way, and you can produce music with one synthesizer, and this is what I show. I bring my talent into to compose a little piece of music. If you like it or not, it's another question, but I use this synthesizer, I play one piece of music, and if you have not the money to afford 10,000 synthesizers, decide for one special item and use this, and you can, in combination with a computer, for example, produce a complete track of music. And this is the message, if you want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I hope you continue to do well. If you look back in your life, of course, I know that Klaus Schulze had been an influence of many German musicians, but is any, you know, if you look back in your career, what do you think the top musical influence in the way you play and the music that you have produced and record and so on?
Yes, I must say, beside the whole Berlin stuff, I stopped to follow in the 90s and in the yes, and later, of course. But I'm also a big fan of Vangelis, I must say, because he has the ability to tell a story in 3 minutes, where other people need 35 minutes for, and don't come to a point. Yes, and he showed me how to write songs or how to come to the point. Yes, and this is really a thing where I was knocked down from very early times when he did the Aphrodite Child thing and whatever he started in his solo career. And but from the most influential recording, must say, yes, which changed my life, was really the album Moondown from Klaus Schulze. Yes, the track Floating was that unbelievable combination between electronic and rock music. And this track has still a drive to me where I still say, how did he do it? And it's really, yes, an all-time favorite track for me. Yeah, he did so many good things in this times, but this is really on top. Floating was really great. Yeah, but yes, of course, I'm from time to time I'm listening to other music. Also, in the last years, I listened a lot to music from Hans Zimmer, for example, which I like very much because his music works very often without the movie. You can listen the album and you must not see the movie, and I feel entertained by this. And for this and looking to him, I must say the album Inception is for me the absolutely killer album still.
That's a very good album. Yeah, he's very talented guy.
Yeah. Last Samurai.
No, Last Samurai also.
Right. Yeah.
Was Edgar Frost very influenced? Tangerine Dream in general got influence.
Yeah, of course. This was the music I listened to before Klaus Schulze. Yes, Klaus Schulze came into my life in the mid of 70s, and when Moondown was played in Berlin radio. Yeah. But yes, before it was Phaedra, Rubicon. This music was, yes, of course. The use of Moog synthesizers and Moog sequencers was unbelievable, and the mixture, this sound experiences, and it was so off-world what they did in those days. And later it became more and more commercial, which I didn't like so much. But in the very first beginning, that was pure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like maybe the first 6 albums of Tangerine Dream were very good. The rest, they were the same thing again, the same thing again, the same thing again.
Yeah, it became more song structure and more
like a business. And nowadays, after Edgar Frost passed away, and I don't know, there's a lot of conflict and whether it could continue as Tangerine Dream or not. And I don't know. I don't want to involve in politics, but I have interviewed people that have played Tangerine Dream, about 10 different people that have played in one moment or another in Tangerine Dream, and I have like 10 different versions about the stuff. But I enjoy it, I love to.
You are a fan, yeah, of course.
I'm a fan, right? I have about, from Tangerine Dream, I may have, I don't know, like 20 vinyl record and about 50 CDs. I have a big music collection. I mean, I have 4th floor of music.
So I know people who have more.
and then from but
the die-hard collectors have more.
Yeah, I collect stuff, and then but. The first, Rubicon, and one of the first early stuff from Tangerine Dream was the best, in my opinion. But it's every. But the music that the film composition, the film score, some of them were very good as well. And you have toured, in many countries, in many cities in the world. Is any particular concert that you will never forget, or perhaps it's the one that you did with Klaus Schulze that you will look back and say, man, that's the best I played. The music was great. The people was good. I could die tonight and I would be happy with my career,
Yeah, it was definitely that one with Klaus Schulze in Dresden. It was really an experience. And but also this one in Paris 2009 was a great thing because it was so important to me with all that background that I returned to business, yes, and that was so. I wanted to do everything good, so yes, I still believe that was a very important concert. Later, it became a little bit more stress into this whole thing because the whole situation changed. It was more difficult to get organized or to get more concerts and to get more good organized concerts, well organized concerts. And it was in 2017 I had sold out show in Hamburg in the planetarium,
Yeah.
And that was also the moment where I decided to stop with that business. Yes, it was a good concert, but the circumstances were not so nice. And then I said, is it this that you want for the rest of your life, or isn't it? And I decided to stop with this. Yes.
Gotcha. Do you miss playing touring and playing live music, or not much?
No, I stopped with that. As I really, I've given no concert since 2017, and then with Corona, everything stopped. So that was no option no longer. And yes, I'm really happy with it. I'm missing not so much. And yes, maybe if somebody comes and has a good idea, yes, I would maybe think about returning, but not so for that. Get your stuff into your car and come over, and for €500 you can play 3 hours, but then you can go home again. And so, no, that's no longer. I'm too old for this.
Yeah,
I'm too old for this rock business. No.
yeah, but people in in Germany, and especially in Berlin, they like still they like electronic music. I don't know if the young people like it or the old people like that, but it's like, for example, right? So Manuel Goshin did a concert a couple of weeks ago with Hans Rodelius, and I think they did okay. I interviewed Manuel Goshin like the week before they put the concert, and I think a lot of people went to that concert. Well, a lot of people, maybe.
I don't know what happened there, but I did not attend. But yes, I mean. Everybody must go his own path through life. Yes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
If they are happy with that, it's okay. Yes, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So what are your plans? What are your plans for the near future for yourself? What?
Yeah, definitely the book.
Yeah.
I hope I will. There will happen something very soon with it, and also definitely producing more episodes of Freak Out Jacint. Yeah, that's the plan. And I think it's work enough, and I must do not much more at the moment, because I pump everything into that YouTube thing, and yes, it keeps me busy and happy, and that's it. It's okay.
You have a lot of listeners in your YouTube channel that listen to your stuff, and
Sorry.
do you have a lot of listeners in YouTube? A lot of people follow you, and
not much enough. I need much more subscribers on the channel, and
yeah.
more visitors, and this is very important. Also, yeah, we can say we know this. This is also YouTube can also become an economically important basis today. And yes, there are other channels which are much more successful, but they are also much longer on the online than that what I am doing. So I need more promotion, more communication. So yes, but the things go up. It's okay at the moment.
Yeah. I would like to before I go to Germany, I want to buy like a nice, like, professional camera to film, because instead of doing this over the internet, I would like to have more a professional interview, and would be good. Would be fun to do it.
With me or what?
Yeah, with you. I'm going to be interviewing Manuel Goshin again, and like a nice camera. I don't know, nice settings.
Yeah, maybe if you want to do something, we can meet us here in my little studio and film something.
Of course, yeah. To that, to help you as well, not just me. To help you.
Okay, great.
And then you can put in YouTube. And this interview, when I send you a link, you can put in YouTube channel. You can do whatever you want. I mean, I'm very happy that people give me an hour of the time, an hour of their life. So I want them to get something out of it, as well. So and
thank you.
so I have only 2 more questions left. So So what do you do for fun when no music related? You like soccer? You like football? Or?
No, not so much. I'm really no the biggest soccer fan from time to time in nice game, yes, but I'm not very much into it. No, I like to be together with my wife, and we have to share some time. And yes, I'm making some sports, sometime a little bit jogging around. So the most time I'm really here working on my stuff, and I must say it's both. It's my hobby and it's my job. It's not more that I'm not more feeling that pressure to do something. So I do the things that I want to do. Yes, and I do them with fun, and this is more important than anything else to me. Yeah.
Gotcha. Feel free to mention your Bandcamp so people, listener, can buy your music. I want them to buy, as many stuff from you, and so feel free to elaborate your Bandcamp name and your website. And
yeah, my name. If you enter my name in Google, you will find my website and my Facebook channel and my Bandcamp shop and my YouTube channel. Everything is in the internet.
Yeah, and then when I upload the interview, I will enter the description the name so people can go to your channel and
cool.
Can buy your music. Yeah, of course. That's what you give me an hour of your time, so that's the least I can do for you. And that was it was very nice interview with you, Bernd. Quite sure when I'm in Berlin, we'll do part 2 and part 3 because there are too many topics that we want to cover in electronic music. And it was very nice talking to you. And keep up the good work, the good music. Keep on releasing your stuff. And like you mentioned before, don't listen to anybody. Listen to your own voice inside yourself and go left, go right, whatever it is, and then keep on producing good music because you're young, man. You have a lot of stuff, a lot of great music to be done and produced, and hopefully some, movie director can listen to this review and give your chance, give your music a chance, and play that your music in film. Huh?
Thank you very much, Claudio, for having me.
No problem. Thank you, man.
Was an honor. Thank you.
Same here, and I will see you in less than 10 months, in less than 2 months.
Yeah, great. Happy to meet you.
Take care, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Take it easy, man.
Goodbye.
Thank you.